Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Voices of Tomorrow. I'm your host, Jaden Morales, and today we have a very, very special guest joining us this afternoon. Please welcome Isaiah Laborde to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, here on the Voice of Tomorrow, we bring in new and captivating minds within many different fields of study to enlighten ourselves and the audience of many perspectives of our vast world. All right, Isaiah, let's jump straight into it. So, tell me, what inspired you to choose your field? Well, first, what is your field?
So I am an architect major. I'm in my second year at Kean University. And so for me, I'd say coming out of high school, I was like thinking about what major really I want to actually pursue throughout my life. Like my parents, they would tell me things about like architecture. They see me as like some sort of engineer. My parents, they come from Haiti, so education was a really big part of my family. But I was thinking of kind of doing something different from what I like kind of grew up learning, mostly academic in like a regular curriculum like math, science. But I wanted to do something that has to do with art and that can kind of combine multiple principles, multiple fields into one. And so then I started to apply to the architecture program at Kean. I was working on my portfolio, and what really inspired me was seeing the works of different architects like a very famous architect, Zaha Hadid. So she was basically the architect who helped create the plans for the Lusail Stadium. And so that was the stadium that they hosted the World Cup in. And me, I'm not even a soccer like fan like that, but I still enjoyed watching that game.
Right.
I saw how like not only was it about the soccer, it was about also where the soccer was being held. So Qatar, that was a really important place for those people that were in the stadium, and she created basically that stadium according to their culture. So when you look at the stadium from the outside, it looks like a lantern. It looks like it's glowing, and so like that, and the shape of it was very abstract. It was very interesting to me. So I was like, okay, I think I like architecture. It looks pretty cool. I would like to make some cool things, or just seeing something come from a paper on a plan into real life is really captivating to me. So that's why I chose my field.
Well, that's truly wonderful. Now, if you don't mind me asking, for our very curious audience, what's a cool fact about your field of study that most people aren't aware of?
I think a cool fact about architecture is that it doesn't. When I tell people I'm an architect major, they usually ask me, "Oh, dang, that sounds hard. It's a lot of math." I'm like, math is like math is a part of it, but it's not really as important as like someone would think. It's important when we have to scale certain things, but there's certain math like calculus that people expect that you use in architecture, but you don't really use that very often. So it's more so like engineers. So these are the people, the engineers. They say the engineers hate the architects because of the things that we we give them these crazy plans and we expect them to build it and use whatever knowledge they have. But they are more so the people that use math and calculus and these sort of calculations. But architects, we're more concerned about design and building. We see where is this building going to be placed. We see what is the community of this building, what are the functions, what are the programs that we need in order to have actually a good building, a good architecture. And then that basically kickstarts the whole process to design for us.
Okay, that's very fascinating. Wow. Now let's kick into higher gear a bit. Okay, with that, we know that every field has its challenges and issues. So, what would you say is a major challenge in your field today?
I would say one of the greatest challenges in architecture, in my opinion, is how it affects the environment. So when you create a building, like we as the people that use buildings and experience the buildings, we don't like probably think about it as much in terms of the environment because we're using it. But for the architect, there's a lot of like pollution. There's a lot of things that are produced and that go out into the atmosphere. Whenever you create a building, whenever you excavate land, you're taking away certain trees, certain vegetation that's there. So I'd say that is one of the really pressing issues right now. So that's why a lot of people are focused on sustainable architecture. So sustainable architecture is basically them combining different aspects of like protecting the environment with the architecture. So that could be using having garden roofs or having like different plants in different spaces to capture lots of carbon dioxide and whatever like that. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely seems like a huge issue, very important. So how about we talk about that more when we come back from break?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
That is so fat.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody!
But I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Hi everyone, my name is Mike Arfano, and today we're going to be talking about journalism. In today's world, it's more important than ever to have good news literacy. By that, I mean having the ability to judge and analyze the reliability of news and information. It's also important to sort through the facts to discover what the truth really is. In a world that is consumed by fake news, it's important to know what the truth is and where it is.
The headline might be fake, the first paragraph might be fake.
If writing isn't your strong suit, that's no problem at all. Here at Kane, journalists get the ability to practice and perfect their writing by working for the Tower for a total of 3 semesters. With different focuses like sports writing, feature writing, writing for the web, journalists have so many different options to choose from. So come check us out on the 4th floor of CAS.
Every day, more and more college students choose to drink more coffee and not get enough sleep. This results in them sleeping during class, in obscure places in public, and when they're trying to study. Make sure you get enough sleep. Don't always rely on coffee.
Stairs. 4 out of 5 college students suffer from fear of stairs. Whether it be to the 1st floor, the 3rd, or the 6th, the fear is strong. But we need to stop this. We need to work together and conquer these stairs, step by step. So stop taking the elevator, take a deep breath, and take the first step to a new you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We know you've been waiting to hear from our special guest again, so why don't we just pick it up from where we left off? So we were talking about the environmental impact of architecture and how does such an issue affect the everyday lives of people?
So in terms of like the environment, pollution, it affects everybody. So it's a concern for everyone living. As long as you live on planet Earth, it should be a concern because we literally have to protect it from ourselves, if that makes sense. So for architecture, when we have like different levels of pollution, when we have different things, it makes it harder for us to keep on producing more. For the population that's growing, it makes it harder for us to keep on creating more buildings. So there's more power plants, there's more different things that are being built, but they're not basically being I don't even know what's the word. offset, if that makes sense. I think they're not being offset. So for every building that you create, you have to basically also have something that you plant.
Right.
You need to have environment that you excavate. You have to also have environment that you add to it. Otherwise, we're going to get to a point where we're just going to be very crowded, and then our quality of life is going to be depleted. So our oxygen levels, they're going to be more polluted. Everything is going to be worse than it already is. There's more pollution that's leaking into the oceans from debris and multiple demolitions of buildings. So, and for me personally, I feel like that was important because where I come from Haiti, there was a devastating earthquake in 2010.
Right.
So that basically contributed to a land that was barren. And so there's a whole, when I landed in Haiti for the first time, I went like a few years ago, I would see that there was a lot of debris. There was a lot of buildings in Port-au-Prince. So that's the capital of Haiti. And not only was there buildings that were, that had added debris to the entire country, there was like just various pollution. There was various poverty. So if we don't build for sustainability, then I see it as a way for us to induce poverty in a certain way.
Okay. So with a challenge like this, experts in your field of study must play a crucial role. So what part do professionals in your field play in solving this issue?
So those professionals, they basically condense the issue into a way that can be solved. So that is what architecture is. I found it's more so like solving a puzzle with the resources that you have. And professionals, what they're good at doing, especially really great architects, they're able to take an idea, take an idea about a material and basically make architecture from it while also prioritizing something like the environment or something like space, something like natural light. They're able to create a building that doesn't have to use too much artificial light. They're able to create a building that doesn't have to basically power itself. So they'll probably install or have someone on their team try to have electric turbines to be part of this building's grid system. So experts in, I think, a really great architect is really good at doing those things.
Wow, that's truly inspiring. So now this part is my favorite. So I'm gonna need you to dream big for me, okay? If there was no limits, whether that be financial, technological, any societal restrictions, how would you solve this issue?
If there were no limits, I would solve this issue by probably starting where it matters the most, which is the education. So I know growing up that I wasn't exposed to architecture at all. So like this is fairly new for me to be exposed to. But I would think that having this as part of curriculums would probably change the landscape of architecture a lot. So learning about something that's young, it's going to basically interest young minds. It's going to inspire young talent. So, and also in the age that we're living in the age of like artificial intelligence. You have like information is a lot faster. Information can be generated. Ideas can be like, they just spawn into existence faster than probably any other age. So I think that us, for the younger generation, we're probably in a great spot to even learn as much as we can about architecture. And for them to have these things in schools, to have them as mandates, and probably also to even have certain bills, certain laws that get passed. Like, if you're gonna build a building over here, what are you gonna add to the environment? It has to be sustainable to a certain degree. So like these aren't common. So if you would go to somewhere like New York City, you'd see there's a whole bunch of buildings. They're really nice, they're tall, but it doesn't really add anything that is just taking away from the environment.
I see.
And as us as we're always going to need buildings. But what happens when we get to a point where we can't really make those buildings? What happens when we can't even, the materials that we're using is actually costing us more in the long run? So I think that educating everyone about it first and then developing an interest is the best thing that we could possibly do.
Wow, that's marvelous thinking, Isaiah. So we just have one last question and then a bonus bit for our esteemed guest here. So if you can collaborate with any expert in any field, not just yours specifically, but who would it be and why?
Wow. I would say it would be Bjarke Ingels. So he's a Danish architect. He's like 40 years old. He's considered one of like the phenoms in architecture because of they was considering him pretty young for his age for like even doing the amount of things that he's done. So like he's had a lot of like high maintenance projects. He's I think in the process right now of building 2 World Trade Centers. That's like the second one that they're rebuilding. Wow. So he's in the process of doing that. But I like his architecture because that sustainability aspect is there. You see that he has green roofs. You see he has this project in Copenhagen. So he basically put a slope on top of a power plant and basically the way that he built the building is so that light comes inside of the building so that artificial light is reduced, and also there's like just a garden on top of the roof of the power plant and people literally just go skiing on it.
Oh wow.
So like you just have this big power plant that's just fuming all kinds of things out into the atmosphere, but he also they figured out how to use water. They boil water in order to like, I guess, regulate that in a certain way. So that project in and of itself, to me, was a way like, dang, like we can actually do various things to protect the environment that are pretty non-traditional. So that's not, you're not gonna see a power plant anywhere with people skiing on top of it because you're like, whoa, this is a polluted area, but it's done. But however, there is like financial barriers and things like that. So these materials, these different things that we need to make this type of architecture, it costs.
Yeah, that's someone I never would have guessed. All right, and with that answer, we have reached the bonus bit of this episode, but before we get into the good stuff, we're gonna have to take another break, so we'll be right back.
Finally Thursday. Tonight's the night. Are you ready?
You know I can't. I have that test tomorrow that I've been talking about.
Cognitive dissonance, huh?
What?
Cognitive dissonance? The state of having 2 conflicting thoughts.
What?
Basically when you can't decide on something because the 2 things you want to do are contradictory to each other. So for example, you want to go out, but you know you should study for your test.
And how do I fix this exactly?
You either have to change your beliefs, or you have to change your actions.
Where did you even learn this? I can't even spell cognitive dissonance.
I'm a comm studies major, remember?
Yeah, whatever. Alright, well, I guess I'm staying home because there's no way I'm gonna survive tomorrow without studying.
Whatever. Suit yourself.
Hey, class starts in 5 minutes. You coming?
Yeah, I'll catch up.
still here?
Oh, yeah. I'm coming to class.
Where are you going? Class ended.
Oh.
If you're so glued to your phone, why don't you minor in social media?
Oh. Okay.
Welcome again, everyone. And to those who are tuning in now for the bonus bit of today's episode of Voices of Tomorrow with our special guest, Isaiah. So for those viewing at home that are unsure what's to come, where to go, how to maneuver throughout life up until this point, what piece of advice can you give them?
I'd say that the biggest piece of advice I could give somebody is to know themselves, understand themselves, and always try to figure out something about yourself, even if you need to prove something to yourself, if that makes sense. So don't be afraid to take a challenge. Don't be afraid to be out there, to do whatever it is, because who's really going to stop you but yourself? So it's important, I think, that people kind of just spend time with themselves. Before you spend time with even family and friends, all of these different things are very important. But I think spending the most time with yourself is where you're going to find the most peace and purpose in your life. So that time that you take alone with yourself is where you start to figure out different things that you can do in different ways to advance in your life, whatever it may be. It may be sports, maybe you want to start a business, it may be whatever it is that you want to do. It's up to you to do it, so you are to find that strength and to find that power within yourself to do it. And everything is all within you. There's nothing that, if you think it's greater than you, then it will be greater than you. Failure is not failure. It's just, it just means to try again. It just means to try another way, find another answer. That's what, in school, you'd fail a test and you'd see an F on your paper. That just means find another answer. It doesn't mean failure, in my opinion. So always keep on trying to advance in that sort of way.
Okay. Well, those are some powerful words. I've got to tell you, they almost moved me to tears. So thank you, Isaiah, for spending your time with us here, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning into Voices of Tomorrow. I'm your host, Jaden Morales, and have a wonderful weekend.